Hi, Daddy.
Hi, Deborah. How you doing?
Oh, I'm wonderful today. Thank you.
And so am I. That makes two of us. Wednesday night, during the conference, I was so tired, and when you started talking about overcoming, I wanted to talk so badly, but I just didn't have the energy. I was almost going to say I want to talk about something, but I want to save it for next week. But I just went ahead and finally got the strength to talk about um, my issue with forgiving people, because when certain names are mentioned of people who have hurt me, I instantly get angry and want to lash at them and not forgive them, and I don't want to pray for them. But it's something you said is helping me. Like it's only, I realize that it's only hurting myself to stay mad at them. So when I know I'm hurting myself, it's so much easier to forgive them instead of just because I'm hurting myself. So it's just easier to say, okay, I forgive them, because if I don't, I'm hurting myself.
Yes, yes. I had the same issue once I was dealing with a divorce, and in my prayer time, the Lord began to speak to me. He said, "Pray for them," and I was like, and I mean, He's telling me specifically, "I want you to start praying for them." And of course, He's telling me praying for them like I'm praying for anyone else. I want what's best for them, and I want them to be successful. And really, when the Lord said that, I'm feeling in my spirit, pray for them. I pray, and this is how I really said it, because, me and God, God and I just learned how to be real with Him and just have that and talk about what I'm feeling and what I'm really dealing with, because guess what? He knows anyway. I don't try to impress Him or try to act spiritual. At this point, I just want to tell Him how I feel. And I just said to the Lord, Lord, I pray, Lord, that you would remove him off the earth, really. And, of course, that's how I'm feeling in my natural mind. You know how it is when people done hurt you and they really, just really, doing everything to cause you to that emotional trauma and financial trauma and all of that. So the Lord had to rebuke me, and I humbled myself, and I just, asked God to forgive me, and I began to pray for him. And I prayed a very honest prayer for him. And a few minutes later, the Spirit came to me. He said, "See, Deborah, ain't nothing wrong with him. I'm trying to help you, because where I want to take you, you can't go like this." And it just helped me to realize, and like what you're just saying, to forgive him or to just to move on. It's all about me. It's about me.
Yeah, and that's what I think you've made me realize. It's so much easier not holding that hate or resentment or anger towards them if you know that that's holding you back from being so sweet to yourself and not holding all that stress inside of you, which causes diseases and illnesses and everything. And who wants to, every time someone's name's mentioned, to get angry? It's like it's so much easier just to know you're doing yourself the biggest favor by letting them, by not getting mad when their name's being said or feeling yucky.
Yes. And sometimes we talk about just let it go. And the Lord began to give me a different perspective of how to see that. And I think the whole thing is learning how to see things from a different perspective. Because like I said, when a person doesn't hurt you, and of course we have to be real, it hurts. It's not good. It's not a good feeling because somebody have violated our life, and they violated us. So sure, that's not always the easiest thing to say, okay, I can just let it go. But what he had to show me, look at it from a different perspective, to let it go, because even what they've done to you, we can't change it. And he even said this also. Stop looking at it as letting it go. What I want you to do, instead of saying letting it go, just embrace it. And that helped me too. He said, just accept it. I said, accept it. Yes, just accept it. Accept that, okay, they just hurt me. But you know what? I accept it. And when I start looking at it from that perspective, instead of just letting it go, because to me, to letting it go, that means I'm letting it go and ain't nothing going to be done. And then it puts me in a different mindset. But now when I think about, I'm just going to accept the fact that they hurt me, and that's just who they are. They don't realize that they've lost a good friend, and when I started doing it that way, it was just so easy for me to realize that, guess what? You're the person that's missing out.
And you know what else, Deborah? By them hurting us, and if we continue, we're hurting, then it moves on from them to us hurting ourselves, because we're still allowing them to hurt us by the constant thoughts. Whereas if we stop that pattern, then we stop hurting ourselves.
Exactly. Because what like you said, now although they hurt us one time, but guess what we'll do? We hold it and keep thinking on it and keep remembering that, and guess what? We're hurting ourselves several times. And
even if they hurt us for years, Deborah, if they hurt us for years and we continue, then you've got those years plus all the future years that we're still getting hurt. Whereas if you stop that pattern, we stop getting hurt.
Exactly. And it's all about, like you said, it's all about the pattern. And I talked the other night, too, about just breaking tradition. There's some things we just got to break it. We got to stop it, and because it's been happening constantly. Even when I talked about my relationship, it seemed like I was picking the same kind of people in my life. And, every time I choose this in these relationships, I noticed it was a pattern. I'm choosing the same kind of people. What is this? And that's when I start paying more attention. I got to stop this pattern. And most of the time, everything we do, it's like it's constantly, basically almost the same thing if you're not careful. It's like you can have 10 pair of shoes, but if you notice, most of the time, you're only wearing probably 2 pair all the time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So
yes.
Most time our lives are patterns. It's habits. It's the continuation of the same habits, the same things. So that's why we got to look at it.
And to get that wisdom, you have to see which patterns need to be changed and which ones are okay and which ones need to be use wisdom to see what is going to bring you the most joy and peace and happiness.
Exactly. And then knowing which ones are really bringing you the pain. Because actually, it's like this. Whatever pain that we're dealing with other people, we chose that. Because guess what? We allowed it, in a sense. We were participants with that, or with that person, or with that behavior, and we keep getting the same thing. So therefore, we got to change it.
That is so brilliant, Deborah. That is so true. And that's when I had to forgive myself for all the people I brought. I allowed all of that stuff, but for whatever reason, my conditioning or whatever, I allowed it. So I'm the biggest one I have to forgive, and I have been really doing that lately because I didn't know any better.
Right.
And now I do.
And what I've done, God just told me to start monitoring myself. Start looking within me. Why am I choosing this? Even when it came to clothes, when I would go into a store to buy something, I noticed I was always drawn to something black or brown. I mean, when I get home, I got a closet full of beautiful black stuff, but it was just stuff it was beautiful, but I noticed every time I'm buying something, I can get to the cash register and I got 2 or 3 items. Everything is basically black and white, dark, brown. And I start monitoring my behavior, my patterns. And that's when I realized, no. And I started making myself a conscious decision. As soon as I walked into the store, if I was going to shop for something, I told myself before I got out of my car, I would not buy anything black. I would not buy anything brown. So it gave me, I had already set myself up. I'm breaking this habit. I'm breaking this pattern. And mostly our lives are just patterns.
And, you know, I was talking to Janie this morning, Deborah, and she said, you and Dr. Gregory are making such a difference in her life. She said something, I said, give me an example. And she said she was just talking to a friend, and her friend was exhausted, and this one was bothering her, and this one happened, and this and this. And she just said, that's not your business. And so she just says so many things are coming up that these Wednesday night conversations are helping her in her life. So she's so grateful for y'all.
Wonderful. Because this is what it's all about, that we all become more conscious and more aware of our own self versus looking at someone else and saying, well, you know what, you hurt me, or you doing this to me. No, look at yourself and find out what we need to do as individuals to that we don't put ourselves in a position to be wounded or connect with people that will wound us. So it's all about ourselves, really. At the end of the day, everything is about me, taking care of me.
Exactly, Deborah. I'm going to have to go in a minute, but I just want to say, I told you I was really tired Wednesday night, and by having it on YouTube, I listened to the recording again, and I heard it in a total different way, and it was just so full of wisdom Wednesday night. I really loved it. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much Wednesday night as I did, because I was so tired, as I did when I listened to it again. So it makes such a difference by having them recorded.
Yes.
And going back and listen to them whenever you want, when you're in a much fresher mood.
Yes.
So thank you and Dr. Gregory for all the wisdom y'all share with us, Deborah.
Well, you're welcome, and it's our pleasure, it's our desire. I tell you, it makes us feel good when we are able to share it. And only thing we're sharing is what God has given to us, and we've used it, and it worked. And I'm like, hey, if it's working for me, I believe it can work for someone else. And it's all about all of us being happy and enjoying our life, not being frustrated, being stressful and, all of this nonsense. Sure, some days it'll be a little bit stressful, but you know what? Even at that, we learn how to calm down, take a deep breath, and just keep moving.
Yes. Well, I love you, Deborah, and thank you for all y'all do. And I'll talk to you Wednesday night.
Okay.
Unless I talk to you before then. Thank you.
God
Same
bless.
to you.
God
bless. Love you. Bye, Deborah.